Welcome back to the Vision Miner podcast without a name. Today, going to talk about glass-filled and carbon-filled composites. We're going to touch on peak applications and print strategies and other things. Cole, what do you think? Composites, man.
Composites are neat, and I like them. No, actually, I reading up on glass fiber, I was shocked at how useful glass fiber is. I use fiberglass, and I use carbon fiber. But glass fiber is like, I'm surprised it took so long to come to the market. I'm surprised that wasn't first.
Yeah.
But I feel like I didn't start seeing them until somewhat recently, but CF's always been there.
Last couple of years. We mostly see them in applications where people need it to have the added reinforcement rigidity, dimensional accuracy, but can't conduct electricity. It needs to be an insulative.
Well, carbon fiber is stiffer than glass fiber.
Yes.
But glass fiber has more tensile strength.
So describe that for the audience.
Tensile strength, well, you should watch the video because we have that UTM back there. Tensile strength is basically pulling strength before it breaks or shears, and it was glass GF peak was unreal. Super high numbers. I was shocked by that. Not shocked, but I was like really impressed. Besides the main reason I like glass fiber GF materials is because of the way they print.
Oh gosh, it's amazing.
Peak goes from a headache to like, all right.
Just like carbon fiber, it makes any material that's warpy and curly easier to print because
it's a miracle additive, and it makes it non-conductive, and it gives you better tensile strength, and it does something.
Less brittle than carbon fiber in general. Still more brittle than the virgin polymer, but we've got 30% glass fill nylon on the website.
30%.
We've got glass fill peak. Yeah.
So glass fiber is silica based, which makes it non-conductive glass, but it's also cheaper. I don't know if the material is cheaper, but the additive.
Yeah,
is
would
cheaper.
imagine it's way cheaper.
It also has a way higher density. Glass fiber structure is amorphous, whereas carbon fiber is crystalline.
Interesting.
Does that mean glass is amorphous?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, which totally makes sense because it'll flow and then.
Of course.
So it's not a crystallization process. Yeah, crystal. There's crystal glass. Is crystal glass a thing? Crystal glasses.
But that's crystalline. It's supposed to be amorphous.
Oh my God. It increases the heat deflection temperature.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And this GF peak one, that what it can actually take, what it does to peak in terms of its actual usable temperature. It's
glass-filled peak is the highest
30s.
rated HGT of all the materials in our portfolio at 302 Celsius, I believe. Might be 305 or 304. But yeah, 302 operating temperature, right? Celsius. That's like 6 something.
575.6 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
That's
operating.
A plastic.
You know, it's interesting. So, I mean, why did they become maybe popular in the beginning? I mean, yes, you get the material properties, you get the added rigidity, you get the, but really the printability, the dimensional accuracy is better. It's like the fibers are in the polymer acting like a skeleton to the polymer, right? So it gets laid down and then it has less, like if it's just one blob, the whole thing can sort of shift. But there's all these little fibers in there that are holding it in place, then it can't shift nearly as much.
Go ahead.
You get more dimensional accuracy, and during the printing process with like carbon fiber nylon or polycarbonate or ABS, it doesn't warp and curl as much because it can't. It's just
sharing the load.
Yep.
And you're not, you are, but not as quite as much relying on the layer you're putting down to completely partially melt the layer before it for bonding and adhesion.
Well, dude, in injection molding, if you look in like, I believe it was the radiator bracket in one of my Hondas back in the day. It was CF ABS or CF something like that. And so it's been used widely. It's used heavily in injection molding.
It's everywhere now.
Yeah.
Everything is polymer, like fiber reinforced polymer, mainly for weapons and weapon plastics.
Yep, firearms
are
for
going
sure.
to be, which makes sense. So there's a book, Fahrenheit 451, which it's called that because that is the burning point of paper. Paper will burn at that temperature. So are you saying there are plastics that can operate at a temperature where something else would be catching on fire?
Yeah. It ain't no metal, but when you can't use metal, and that's the whole point, guys. A lot of the times people talk about these, metal replacement, you should just make that out of steel. Well, if it needs to be radio transparent or non-magnetic or whatever, there's a bunch of different
Use
reasons
metal
you might.
if you can.
Yeah, please use metal. It's
better.
It's easier to
No,
manufacture all these different
It's always
things.
going to be better.
But there's always going to be a situation where you can't, and that's where we come in. Aerospace sector, we're talking ducting components for extreme. Okay,
Oh, there's so many uses.
Extreme heat and vibration, brackets and structural parts.
F1, just think about like pushing the limits completely. Formula One. Matt, do you have something to say on this? Do you know companies that actually have used or are currently using? And how did you get that information?
Yes. If you watch the CF Peak video, which should be out by the time this is already released, I'm a big F1 fan. So obviously I'm looking at that because it is a big sector where like the latest technologies are being used.
Oh, yeah.
And 3D printing is no different. So Robozi is actually a strategic partner with Racing Bulls F1. And Racing Bulls, they are the sister team to Red Bull Racing. They 3D printed these brake ducts, these brake cooling ducts out of CF Peak, and they've saved, I think it was like 65 and 68% cost and time to manufacture. In addition to, that's not the only thing they've 3D printed. They're starting to print a lot of under the hood components that they can't really talk about.
Oh, I remember back in the day, back in the fun mat days, a certain team had a fun mat.
There's two teams that actually have it, and if people knew about it, they'd be like, "There's no way."
And the parts we got to see that we could never show. Oh my gosh!
Yeah, that was my first week of working here too.
It was literally like the beginning. Oh, dude, yeah. Remember that? I can't even talk about it. Actually, I didn't sign the NDA. We weren't on the NDA. Does that mean we can talk? No, we signed an NDA with them, and they signed an NDA with them, so technically it still applies. But it's been more than 3 years. I don't know. If you guys don't know, we are a high-temperature 3D printing company that specializes in PEEK, ULT, and PPSU, and other high-temperature, super extreme, ultra-performance polymers on FDM machines. Now, that was where we started, and we now also sell SLS, SLA, 3D scanners, and a gamut of other supporting products. So if you need any of that stuff, hit us up. We're here to help you and your business figure out what you need and get it to you. As stated previously, ducts. Just think of ducts and brake ducts and other type of little things like that.
I have recently started trying to work with carbon fiber at home. And when you say time, yeah, I believe that, because you're going to have to make the mold, and then you're going to have to lay down the carbon fiber and the resin and different peel ply, and then you have to bake it in the oven, or you can just print it and have something. Yeah, it makes sense. Making carbon fiber parts is not easy.
It's true.
And if this is doing the job, there's a lot of waste. That's the wonderful thing about additive. Most forms of manufacturing, you're just taking things away until you get adding things,
sculpting,
and
the
then
rock.
taking stuff away.
Yeah.
Whereas additive, it's just, of course, support, but that's wastage. But for the most part, you're not using anything any more material than you need. There's time, there's money, and there's probably weight as well they're saving. Even though carbon fiber is light, you're going to be getting solid carbon fiber parts for the most part. With FDM, you can have crazy complex interior geometries that are going to keep that stiffness and strength, but with a lot less material and weight. If F1's doing it, you're going to start seeing it elsewhere.
I mean, it's shapes you cannot produce with subtractive.
They have to be made in additive.
Internal chambers. Well, the internal geometries you talked about. Mm-hmm. We're seeing that especially in the metal 3D printing sector, where it's like, oh, you can make a whole heat exchanger that's an enclosed, encapsulated tube that's running fluid through it. You could not make any other way, and it's more efficient than anything that's ever been produced. Like, that's pretty cool.
I want to know more about that. This is a topic for another video, but that wire welding, the welding additive.
Yeah, like Meltio.
Yeah, you gotta CNC it afterwards, but for Christ's sakes,
if you need to. I mean, Meltio did that big project where they made all the supports for a big walking bridge or a big conveyor belt
someone
system.
Building a propeller for a large ship.
Yeah, in a factory. Literally the stands for conveyors. They 3D printed. They looked like these horn things, but it was efficient to do. It was perfect for the exact application. And it's just it's basically wire welding.
All right, I'll bring in my old Ender 3, and we're going to put my flux welder on it.
You might need a more robust motion system.
All right, never mind. We'll get one of those Amazon battery-powered stick welders and just let it go wild.
We'll just modify it on the 22 IDEX. Because the 22 is open
with
source.
three
You could do
axis,
anything you want.
With
Oh
three
my
axis,
gosh.
you could actually.
Did we just
Nazar?
open a whole new? Yeah. Engineering, get in here now. We got an idea. Would you guys like to see us retrofit a 22 wide axe with a welder from Harbor Freight? That'd be awesome.
It would be awesome.
What's the guy printing proper? He would do that.
Proper printing? The Dutch guy?
Proper printing.
Yeah.
Yes. Who's
I remember-
awesome in person, by the way.
He designed his own extruder. He also made a resin extruder to use resin.
Yeah, to print FDM with resin.
FDM
Dude,
resin
so great.
printing.
If you guys haven't already, go check out Proper Printing. He's awesome.
We should have an episode where we just talk about YouTubers we love that do FDM.
Oh, that's not a bad idea.
Why don't we do that? We should. It was my idea, and I only have great ideas. I have the best ideas.
Like these composites and everything, obviously they came about in industry, but now they're super common out in just even the hobbyist realm. Now you got PLA, ABS, ASA, you got carbon fiber.
Do the air quotes.
Yeah. So what's the deal with that?
Oh, I'll let you know because I'm talking directly with 3DX Tech. I don't want to say anything in case it doesn't happen, but all carbon fiber additives are not created equally at all. Some of them are. It is my flaw. PLA, PLA, CF. I bet Bamboo's is pretty good. That's because I think they use Polymaker.
Just because it's carbon fiber filament does not, like a carbon fiber nylon or carbon fiber nylon A is not equal to carbon fiber nylon B or C or D or E.
That is not transparent enough in the industry.
Not at all.
So
Even
I
just
want to make
freaking regular
blow
nylon.
the doors off.
Like it's like nylon from this company. We added 17 different additives so that it 3D prints in your open chamber printer. But it's not nylon anymore, guys. It's not nylon anymore. You can't use that in industry. There's no they might have traceability documents.
Remember when we started and PLA was printed at 180?
Yeah, dude.
Why
did you see that HTPLA?
Now why is it 225?
There's a new HTPLA that
they
survived to like 200 Celsius or something like that.
Does it have to be annealed?
Like in an oven. It was better than PC and everything else. So it's
that's not
no
PLA.
It's no longer PLA, right? But it's awesome for the hobbyist industry. I will say, you could now print a figurine, put it on your dashboard, and it won't melt on a hot day. Well, it still might, depending on how hot your car gets.
Why are you putting a figurine on your dashboard?
Because why wouldn't you?
I want to know what you guys, we've done glass fiber, carbon fiber, that's in the industry. I can't think of any other fibers that are commonly used. What's going to be the new hype thing? What are they going to use? Like Kevlar fiber?
That's been done. It didn't take off. I don't see it anymore.
Like plant fibers aren't strong enough.
Hemp fibers?
Not compared to graphene. I think you're right, because graphene is the graphene nanotubes are the smallest or strongest. I have to look it up.
Possibly both. I wonder if that'll add to the thermal conductivity. Because years ago, we had TC Poly. It was a filament, mostly flexibles. They had a nylon as well. But they filled it with a composite, and it was thermally conductive. So you could 3D print legitimate heat sinks out of this material, and it was flexibles too. So it was really neat, like flexible heat sinks for batteries or battery packs or cameras or whatever you need. They didn't go out of business. The retail side of the business just wasn't working. Not enough people were buying stuff. There wasn't enough interest. And so they actually signed a deal with an OEM, and they were just producing basically like pellets en masse for this other company that was using their material but no longer in 3D printing form. That makes me wonder if the graphene, I know graphene's got some properties like that.
Oh, graphene is incredibly strong. It's high conductivity, very flexible, as transparency.
Is it thermally conductive?
Yes, both electricity and heat, but it's only can really be made through CVD, chemical vapor deposition, because it's like one atom thick. So it says it's typically produced through methods like chemical vapor deposition or exfoliation, depositing carbon atoms into a substrate, while exfoliation involves peeling off layers of graphene. So I think it's just a real pain to deal with. How you would incorporate that into a...
I mean, they make graphene lubricants, right?
Yeah, but I think that's powder. That's powdered graphene.
Yeah.
Not like lattice structure.
Strands.
Actual,
Oh, and that's an important thing to
which
note.
is graphite.
While we're on the composites thing, back to the not all composites are equal. Back in the day, there was a big bust. Some guy did a research study and was like, he found out that the carbon fiber ABS was actually weaker and there were more voids in it, which made it worse, which is true. For that brand of carbon fiber ABS, which had powdered or milled, which is basically powdered carbon fiber in it. Adding a powder is definitely not going to increase or improve the rigidity of the part. Adding the strands, the actual chopped fibers, is what does
Look,
it.
ABS is an incredibly cheap material. I'm just saying in general. I think it's a marketing gimmick. You're not going to see people putting, they should, I wish, because it's a great material. Aerospace grade carbon fiber and ABS.
Yeah,
they're saving that
T800
stuff for
tow
Peak and Ultim.
Right.
And
It's so
nice
much-
nylons.
It's way more. It costs more than the polymer to add.
Here's a question. Why have we not seen a mix, a GF-CF mix?
Ooh.
3DX Tech, hit me up.
Why would you need?
It's to sell more because it's a thing.
Just make hype products.
Hype. It's got graphene and CF and GF and hemp.
Flame resistant.
And hemp.
Well,
and just put it in PLA.
If this video gets 200 million likes,
we'll make our own
We'll
film.
make it. We'll make that film. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you're enjoying this content. If you do, subscribe because we're going to be releasing more and more of it. Leave a comment down below. We read every single comment, and we like commenting on comments. Matt, we got any comments from the last video that we want to touch on? We'll do a segment. We'll do a segment on one of these episodes where we just talk about the comments and discuss the good ones, the awesome ones, the very fascinating ones, and then
the mean ones.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching.
Have a wonderful rest of your day.
We'll see you
Next
video.